Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Mr. Barber, I see once again you have awoken me from my slumber for this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. It is always good to see you here in the Fox Den. Well, now that has been taken care of and I feel my powers revamped, it is once again time to take a walk into the darkness.
It stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf, and everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night, welcome back once again to Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Bigfoot's Barbershop, Mr. Brian Barber, a weekly host ×2, has again found his way into the Fox Den and has set up the fire so that we can burn the late night timber and read a few chapters from the Midnight Society book. Mr. Barber, how you doing tonight, man?
We're doing good. You know, I always try to bring a little firewood for the fire and a little bottle of essence for you to keep things moving.
Yes, I do appreciate it. And next time when you're bored, you can clean up some of the chunks and blood splatter all over the Fox Den in my casket. I've been slacking a little.
Oh man, those blood stains can be rough. We'll need a chisel and some of that awesome cleaner for that.
Just like anything else, you know, it's got a life expectancy, no pun intended, but it does tend not to taste so good.
Yeah, it doesn't take long once it coagulates to, you know, I imagine, seems I'm more of a chicken and rice guy right now, but the essence sounds rather tasty as a sauce or something.
Does make pretty good for some cave art, though, that's for sure.
There you go.
How you been, man? What have you been up to?
You know, a lot of studying. Because the weather up here isn't real conducive to go out for bigfooting, and now that I'm in this bodybuilding show prep, it's like a lot of studying of not only bodybuilding, but listening to more and more Dogman accounts, trying to sort what is going on. So that's why I like getting on the show with you, because, you know, eventually I want to pick your brain where you find the research instead of just hearing personal accounts. So I know History Channel is one of your favorites, but, you know, documentation wise, it's like, what's real, what's secondhand, what's third hand, what's just BS.
Of course, man. I mean, I'm definitely more than willing to sit down with any of my hosts and share the Midnight Society book that is up to almost 550 pages. So some pretty gnarly stuff going on in there for sure, man. And, well, since you are on here twice a week, and I'm doing this with all my consistent hosts and hostess, I do believe that we should deep dive a little bit back into how you've become interested in the topics that we cover here at the North American Dogman Project and StarFox Radio, and also just in general with cryptids, man.
Deep dive. Oh man, you're deep diving into a shallow pool, so let's be careful.
That's so funny. When did it all start for you? I mean, to the audience, you can obviously find previous episodes and a playlist with Bigfoot's Barbershop where he dives into encounters that his family's had and also himself. But I mean, I believe, 5 years old is when you started kind of having some sort of strange interactions. And I also believe there was a no go zone, basically, you were told, like a Bigfoot zone. And there was never really any sort of signs of quality life there. Am I correct?
Right. So to me, I, when you say cryptid, to me, Bigfoot was just a part of Bigfoot was real. So Bigfoot wasn't make believe to me because of the fact that there was activity on my grandma's property and there were instances of zone in the woods where you would walk, and even the German Shepherd who chased bears out of their barn wouldn't go. The hair went up on your neck. You knew where you're being watched. There was no squirrels, no birds, no anything. So unless you had 5 or 6 people, you just didn't go in that area of the woods. And then while watching In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, whenever that aired in 75 or 76, I pointed to the TV and asked my dad, I said, is Bigfoot, is that what's at Grandma's? And he's like, well, not that one, but yes, there is Bigfoot at Grandma's. So to me, it was just always real until you hit grade school, and then all of a sudden it's like, Bigfoot's kind of like Santa Claus. It's like, wait a minute, no, he's not. And then you get ridiculed, and he's like, okay, he is.
Which is so funny about that because there's actually so much science behind it. And, I've spoken about it before. Don't get me wrong. Almost all the supposed well-known Bigfoot videos and such are hoaxes, but we have quality evidence from scientific squads that have gotten past all that stuff with like DNA and hair samples. So yeah, no doubt. I mean, I don't believe in hundreds, but I will plant my stamp of approval with that with about 99.9% for sure. And you're going to get a chuckle out of this because it was way before my time, but still, I somehow found it in the library and got my hands on the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys werewolf book, which was super lit. And Sherlock Holmes had a werewolf version too. So even though technically those weren't based on fact fully, they did take those historical type encounters and obviously glorify them. But that was probably my first dosage, besides Goosebumps, of course, like Werewolf Fever Swamp and R.L. Stine Legendary. But I'm talking about before I actually was able to kind of really dive into more of the factual stuff, like when Monster Quest just blew my mind. But previous to that, I always thought those things were cool, but that was pretty much what I was playing around with right there, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I was going through all that, I mean, I think we're about 20 years apart age-wise. So, I mean, we were still using the library and, the card catalogs and things like that. Kids' card catalog now to them is, swiping on Amazon. But I think there were 2 books that I probably signed out consecutively for months at a time that had Bigfoot. I don't remember the title, but it had a picture of Bigfoot, the Loch Ness, that famous Loch Ness monster photo, and a UFO on the front. And I read that cover to cover. It's probably got my DNA all over it if it's still around. But there were only 2 books. And until Monster Quest came out, information was really hard to get.
Yeah, no, you're not playing. And I pretty much just rocked the lack of beginning stages of the internet, if you'd like to call it, back then, for sure. And I mean, that's how I found out about Linda Godfrey and Jody Cook, and of course the North American Dogman Project is all through Monster Quest. And I actually get a chance to talk to Doug Highcheck. I really do hope at some point he gets a chance to revamp that show like he said he wants to, and bring on the NADP, Jody, myself, our science team to really dive into that topic. But yeah, I mean, time will tell for sure, man. And also the whole topics that we cover here, like missing people, unknown sightings, vocalizations, all of the above. What really sparked your interest with the North American Dogman Project or myself, here at Star Fox Radio and Midnight Lycanthropy? What got you to even take a second to kind of dive into cryptids? Because, like we had said before, I'm actually going to use the term. I don't think really Dogman is necessarily a cryptid because we believe you have your cave hyenas and short-faced cave bears, Dinopithecus, etc. So I'm with you on that, man. I think that falls into the Sasquatch category where it's not cryptid anymore because cryptid kind of more is like what, reptilians and Mothman. I mean, there's nothing to historically back that up in comparison to what we have for Dogman and Bigfoot. Yes, there are some historical references. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you want to go tick for tat with Mothman or Jersey Devil or reptilians versus Dogman and Bigfoot, yeah, right. Good luck with that. I just said, I mean, I got 550 pages right here, so I agree with that. But I guess outside of those two cryptids, what would be the next in line that you would potentially believe in? Because again, I don't think UFOs are cryptids, man. Do I think extraterrestrial life comes down here and wants to know what man's up to all the time, or humankind? No, I do not, because we are pretty lame and we just blow each other up and we've almost sucked the earth completely dry of nutrients. So any intellectual race, what would be the purpose of them to come down here to just watch us? I mean, what honestly do we have to offer? So yes, do I believe in the massive solar system there's extraterrestrial life that is more intellectual than us? Of course, because there's no way humans are the best out there. But do I think that they come down here and such? No, I do not.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because, I mean, I think George Carlin said it best, we're probably like if you go into the downtown section of Boston or Detroit to the aliens where they roll up their windows and lock their doors. And what are they here for? The edible panties and the fake dog poop. That's the height of they already showed they can shut down the nuclear reactors if they want to. So it's not like we have anything to offer them. Maybe entertainment, I guess, but other than that, as far as cryptids go, I hate to admit it, but until when did I think that surgeon photo got blown out of the water, what, about 5 years ago with the Loch Ness Monster? Where they actually recreated it with the submarine with the baking soda in it, they could get out of a cereal box.
Yeah, and what people don't realize about that as well is there are every massive Loch Ness monster image and such has all been faked. Okay, the hunter they brought in used, I believe it was hippopotamus or rhino tracks, okay, that he had casted. Yeah, okay, there you go. And those were very common for the bottom of lamps at that point in time because, yeah, again, we're super messed up. But yes, and also he then had somebody come in and he did another, fake hoax. And also, Forrest Galante, who's a brilliant scientific mind, has, along with other brilliant minds, really put me to where I stand on it. And before I toss you back to Mike, real quick, first off, not enough food to support something as immense as Nessie inside of Loch Ness. Sure, some of the larger eels and things, yes. Also, again, large eels are in there, and that would come to surface right there and move. That would look serpentine. Okay, again, there are times where seals and also other ocean-based life have come in there, which would look very unique and different and out of the realm. Also, wakes, just in general, from waves and things, can look strange. Sunken pieces of wood, people don't realize before it's last, like goodbye, it again pops up to the surface and then will forever sink down. And on a humorous note, but truthful, just like, how men, when you figure out about yourself, we, tend to play with it a little bit, right? Okay. Well, same thing with whales, no difference. When they figure out about that it's time to reproduce and things, well, they start, just messing around with it, kind of like just picture what we did with ourselves, whatever. But the whale comes in and will roll upside down, right? And it will have an erection that pokes up out of the water. And dude, it looks just like the Nessie head. So all of those right there, man, pretty much put the nail in the coffin that it's 99.9%, because like I don't like the hundreds, not plausible or possible for that to exist, because again, you need enough of a population to reproduce. So if there's not enough food for one of those, how is there going to be enough food for a reproducing population now, you know?
Oh, exactly. We differ a little bit on I think on placement of science, depending on the topic. Because and I know I'm going to go a little off topic, but it just kind of helps explain my stance on science. Some of it, like the exercise science. You know, you've got all these guys saying you need to do this with 3 reps left in the tank and you'll get just as good as growth as this. But when you put it into application, it doesn't work that way. It's you know, they parrot one study they read or maybe 4 studies. But even though bodybuilders are known for decades that this works, but for some reason now people seem to need proof of why it works. It's like, well, the proof is it's already there to look like that. But when it comes to cryptids and stuff, yeah, I want a little more meat on the bone. I guess we'll go with the bodybuilding, you know, a little meat on the bone than just eyewitness accounts, because as you and I both said, human testimony is dog crap. Depending on the stress people are under, whether they're looking for fame or not, how much maybe they've had a little sauce and stuff like that. Good time on New Year's and being envious of the whale rolling over in the water. It's one of those things that I really held on to that Loch Ness Monster with, you know, so I can understand where people come from. Until I actually saw, I think it was the surgeon photo, famous one of the neck out of the water. And they actually recreated it with one of, and I remember getting them in the cereal box, a toy submarine that you put baking soda in and would rise up and down. And that's where they got the wave action for the head on the submarine. When that came out, then I lost all faith in Loch Ness Monster. Even though, oh, no food, well, maybe they go out in the ocean and come back. But that was me just grasping at straws. So
beautiful stuff right there, man, for sure, because I'm with you. I mean, there is also, like I say to everybody, even our science team, there's good and bad science, though. So just like with anything else, I encourage everybody to not just take the one-sided perspective, meaning, for example, I love History Channel, but if I can find something on History Channel, then I try to look for it. And if it's on Discovery Channel, Nat Geo, and then I can find it on BBC and all these other sources that I enjoy and value, then I'm like, all right, wait a second. Now it's been covered by ton of brilliant minds, and they all kind of fall into the same, this might fit over to here. So yeah, I mean, I definitely encourage people to always try and make sure that you're following good science and such, because it's no different than with a while ago, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. There was a subversion that is now known as a Nanosaurus Rex. It's not the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's not a juvenile one, because for the longest time, you had your side that thought it was a juvenile T-Rex, and then you had your other side that is like, there's no way that this is a juvenile T-Rex. The bones are just so much different. And the other side was like, yeah, because it's not fully grown. The other side's like, it doesn't matter. Like, just from the get-go here, this is not correct. And, well, they just kept going back and forth and trying to present evidence to figure out why. And then, boom, they found the evidence, which then supported, well, wait a second, the latter side was correct, that it is actually its own species, not a juvenile T-Rex. It's the Nanosaurus Rex. And right there is what I mean about good science, you know? So you had one side right there that was pretty much being the bad science, meaning they weren't willing to sit back and understand or change their stance on something, even though there was a ton of evidence supporting why they should. And then the latter side was the good science, meaning they obviously at the beginning as well thought it was a juvenile T-Rex until they started looking at it and being like, this just doesn't make sense genetically, and boom. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I enjoy our conversations and being able to do this. And I think where you and I get along so well is the fact that not only do we hear people, but we listen. And when we're talking, you know, if I were by myself and you and I weren't talking and I wanted to know how to do a bicep curl, well, I looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, this worked for Arnold. Okay, now I look at Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates trained in a completely different style. Now I look at Mike Mentzer. So I know all these different sources to go through to try to figure out different ways to try to make that bicep bigger. And since being able to work with you, I've been able to, okay, History Channel is a good reference. Okay, National Geographic is a good thing to try to back this up. So to me, it's the same process, but I'm learning new sources. And that's why I enjoy it, because I think more people need to do that. Instead of just hearing what people are saying, actually listen.
Beautiful stuff right there, man. And couldn't agree more. Yeah, listening is priceless. To anyone out there, the most beneficial knowledge that I've ever seeped in was just from listening, man. You can learn so much without even saying a word. I mean, sure, questions are awesome too. I'm not saying don't ask people questions. I'm a journalist. When people are like, why do you ask so many questions? Because these questions need to be asked until they're answered. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like Brian had stated, silence and just listening is amazing. I mean, a quote I love: if you want to understand your mind, observe it. Meaning, yeah, sure, it's not for everybody, but I meditate and stuff and just chill. Meaning, I'll put on like Native American flute music and such, or just anything that positive vibes, and I'll just sit there and chill in silence. There's no lyrics and things. I love music. I'm always jamming out. It's not, again, not the point, but just meaning, just sitting there in silence and thinking, okay, where do I sit right now? What is it do I truly want? How do I, again, become better at my craft? And I don't listen to rap anymore, but back when I was like in high school, there was this dude like French Montana, stay scheming, right? So I always just pretty much am scheming, but in a good way of figuring out, man, how do I get to where I get my YouTube plaque on my wall? You know, how do I get to being the most credible YouTuber that is consistently trying to cover this topic? Like, how do I get myself monetized? How do I line up great, consistent hosts and guests? And these are the things that I'm just always trying to think about. It's a gift and a curse. I'm never content with anything, which is something that can be a curse too. Meaning, when I used to act and such or a model, I would be like, all right, well, that was cool, but what the heck? I'm still not famous yet. I'm still not rich, whatever, which is a terrible mindset. But that's, again, I talk about this in my mini biography as to why I got away from all that stuff. But then other people would be like, dude, you were just at an Abercrombie shoot. You were on top of this little billboard. Then you were sitting here doing an underwear shoot with a Playboy model that you were chilling with after. What? And I was like, yeah, so what? That was like 25 minutes ago. They're like, dude, so that was dope. And I was like, yeah, dope 25 minutes ago. But like, man, what's next? Like, what is my next conquest? You see what I'm saying? So it's like a gift and a curse, like more or less, meaning, I don't know. There's so many legendary people in life, right? For good or bad, that are forever immortalized, meaning we still talk about Alexander the Great, Herodotus, Leonidas. I mean, and then other people are immortalized for horrible things they've done, like the dirty stash and all them, but they're still forever talked about, right? What is it? We obviously know one half, you have to do something horrific, which, yeah, I should never want that, nor should anybody else. But what is the other half? Like, how do you get immortalized? Like, how do you do something so dope? Again, for example, Bobby Orr down in Boston, the statue where he's diving in the air, he scores that game-winning goal. He's forever immortalized. So what is it, or how do you do something like that? Which, again, gift or a curse, because I'm never content with things, but I don't feel like I should be content with anything until I am where I want to be and I'm successful, you know?
Yeah, I get it because it's a delicate balance that even I'm still trying to figure out is go for the gamer attention here. You're constantly trying to level up, but you never take the time really to enjoy the level you're currently at. And sometimes it's a fluke of what'll make you famous. I mean, I'll give you an example. What movie is this from? I'll Be Back. One freaking line, and everybody knows what movie you're talking about. Even kids 14 years old, they know who you're talking about.
Yes.
The movie was 1980. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, man. I agree with you 100%. And to everyone out there, I just encourage you, if you have a trade or something that you're pursuing, you just got to grind and don't listen to the outside noise, because to an extent, to be successful at anything, you have to be what someone would label, oh, selfish. I'm not talking about other versions of selfish. I'm talking about meaning when people potentially want to spend time with you. Sure, you want to make sure that you allot that, but at the same time, your time could be spent towards doing something else like your craft. All right. I'm a huge Tom Brady guy, of course. All right. But then I'm going to name some other people too, like Lindsey Vaughn. And let me think of some other great people. Ronda Rousey, man, people that I enjoy. Okay. All these people sacrificed massive amount of things. Okay. They didn't have, for example, Rousey and Lindsey Vaughn didn't really have boyfriends and things growing up. They skipped their school dances and things and didn't really have friends because they spent all their time becoming what it is that they wanted to be. Brady too, okay, which is a big reason it sounds like his wife, unfortunately, and him just kind of ended up having their split. Bill Belichick too, same thing. His wife ended up leaving as well. But both of those people are arguably the greatest of all time in their sector. People can argue that, Belichick's not the greatest coach. Okay, whatever. There's always going to be that argument, but he's up there. Okay, you know how he got up there? Let's see. He put everything to coaching. Again, same thing with Brady. People can say other things, but again, arguably he's the greatest football player of all time. How did he get there? We just spoke about it. So to become successful at something, I feel like you need to not be content. Like Brady said when he was asked, like he just won the Super Bowl, and they asked him what his favorite Super Bowl. You know what he said? The next one. That's what I'm talking about right there. The next one. You think Tom Brady just cares about the one he just won? No, he just told you on national TV out of all the ones he had, what's his favorite? The next one. That's like the most legendary quote ever.
yeah, exactly. He's not even taking the time to enjoy the moment he's in. He's planning for the next moment.
Right? So that's what I mean about the gift and the curse, because yeah, you definitely want to take it time to enjoy stuff. And sure, being just a tree in the forest is awesome, but what kind of mindset is that? Shouldn't you set your mindset to trying to be the tallest tree or the best at what you do, correct? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just my tenacity type mindset. I've always had it. I've gone through a ton of things in life. I'm still going through things. Gone through things where I'm like, oh, well, how do I overcome this crazy thing? And somehow I do. And I'm just like, wow, that was the worst thing I've ever dealt with. But it's just this drive, man. And it's just something that I don't think people fully understand. So I get that all the time, and I don't care because, like I just stated, I am trying to help people that are missing. I have something I'm trying to achieve on my YouTube and my podcast and things, and it would be no point to do it if I was going to do it half butt cheeked. Okay, meaning if I was just going to dive into a gazillion different types of topics and such, well, what's the point of covering this? I mean, there's still people missing. There's still people reporting these strange sightings, these strange howls, these dogman like entities, these Bigfoot, whatever. I mean, so would I be doing my job correct as a journalist if I dove into other topics when this is very much occurring still? I mean, anywhere from 1,100 to 2,400 people are disappearing yearly. 5% are never found. Okay, so does that mean we're doing our job up to what we can be? No, they just said 5% are never being found. So isn't that my responsibility as a journalist who's covering the topic to figure out where those 5% are? If not, what was the point of me ever writing the first words in my book?
No, exactly. That's what's got me deciding to obviously do the bodybuilding show, but come out of retirement personal training wise, because not to sound arrogant, but I've got 40 years under my belt. I listen, I experiment and try things. And compared to the other two trainers at the gym, who I'm not saying are bad, I'm just that much better because of the fact somebody has to be the best. Why not me? If I look at it and I put 100, in order to be better than me, they have to beat me. And if they can't do it because I put 100% effort into it, I put 100% effort into the research of training. I apply it to myself. I apply it with clients. They are never going to be better than me because of the fact that there's not one more ounce of anything that I'm missing to put into this. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to be the best. With you wanting to be remembered in YouTube, you're going to be remembered. I can tell that. You're young, you're hungry, you're intelligent, you're unbiased. You are going to fly, and you are going to be right up there by the time this is all said and done with Linda Godfrey and Jody, if not at the same level, if not even a little higher, because, God willing, you're going to have more time to put into this because of your age and because of the advances in research.
Dang, man, that is some hella kudos, and I so appreciate all that. And with what you had said prior to that, I can't agree more, man. It's good to obviously confident, man. I've struggled with that throughout my whole life. When I was younger and acting and modeling, falling more on the cocky side, which is terrible. But confident is important too, man, because when you lose your confidence and swagger, you then lose pieces of yourself. So it's no different than genius and insanity. Again, a very thin line, okay, of each could fall into potentially a little bit like Einstein. He could have been insane or genius, etc. So it is really, like I said, good to hear that type of stuff and just approach it in general to whatever you do in life, man. Yeah, you should want to be good at it. Unless, you're working something that has no sort of meaning. I'm not saying that. If you're a server at the Olive Garden and you want to be the best server, don't do that. All right. I would encourage you to find bigger goals in life because at the end of the day, you're still a number. You could be the best server at your restaurant and such, and it doesn't matter. You're still just a number that could replace you. So there's no value there. But if you are trying to start your own trade or what Brian had mentioned or what I'm trying to do or become an author, etc., yeah, you just got to make sure you put that effort into it. And what are some of the most potential bogus cryptids you think that just have no sort of clout to stand on? Because, dude, I didn't even know how many freaking exist. I can't remember the guy's name, but he does like these icebergs and they're like hours long. And you're just like, dude, all right, well, I didn't know there was, no exaggeration, like 12 million cryptids.
Yeah, sometimes I just hear the name and I turn it off. It's like, which is probably bad on my point because, like I said, I like to listen and learn, but sometimes it's just stuff. But the freaking melon heads, I mean, what? No, come on, give me a break. Little bulbous head assassins running out in the woods that were created by science. Just not buying it. I hate to say this because I know this is a popular one, but I don't think Mothman really has much of a leg to stand on, even though I think that's total misidentification and being the harbinger of doom. I mean, that's like looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I don't think there's any link to that whatsoever. Other cryptids. Well, now I know Loch Ness Monster's debunked. And I kind of kicked myself for believing in that for as long as I did. Because, like I said, I was grasping at straws, even though I knew better. Monster Quest made it pretty clear without directly saying it. You know, I like the way Monster Quest always tries to leave the possibility open, even though they pretty much debunked it the whole show. But anything, I guess the best way to be right now with what I know, the ones I give credit to that I don't, you know, if you want to call them cryptids, that's fine. But the ones I think are legit: Bigfoot, Dogman, Wendigo, Skinwalkers. Those would be my top four that, you know, I think are legit. And then everything else, you're starting to push into, you know, you start getting into pigmen, like the reptilian guy, you know, that miraculously all the freaking things lined up with like what was it, not a bandsaw blade, but it was another type of saw blade that they took and measured, and all the teeth marks just happened to line up with the same teeth on that, just bent. The fact that they came out with, you know, the sheriff said that they put the 3-toed lizard tracks out, yet it still lives on because supposedly got to the sheriff and made him. Give me a break.
And here, another one too that's pretty bad, bro, is New Jersey Devil, man. I'm not down with that one really either. I mean, I'm sure some of the disturbing stuff in the whole lore of it, but again, anytime anything's been brought forward, it's been debunked as, you know, those footprints actually was a bird that was hopping and etc. So interesting stuff, man, but it's just, yeah, like the melon ends, man. It's like, what, the Christmas trees? And then I saw one that I don't even know what it was, but supposedly it was covered in kelp. And if you made it bend over and spill its water out of the top of its head, you then became its master. And I'm just like, wait, what, dude? So it ends up a lot of times, like you said, I don't know, man. It's just straight up way too bizarre, and I like science and something to work with like evidence. I mean, for example, like check out what I just sent you on your phone. You'll like it just because of the nickname that they've given this thing. But again, okay, that right there is pretty strange looking, and look at how big that, like, you know, snake is, for example, etc. I don't know. I just feel like people misidentify too many things, dude, and just think it has to be something unknown. I mean, recently there was, I'm not a boater, so to all my friends out there that are yachters and ride around on boats, go ahead and bash me because I do not know this terminology, but it hangs off the side of the boat. It's basically like a little bumper, all right, to give you a little bit of space. So if you do hit something, well, hey. And it fell off in the water, and then the way it had come up, because this plastic, of course, is going to float. And then the wake of the boat made it then sink down. Well, yeah, of course. And they said it looked like some sort of unknown cryptid in the water, and you could see the nose right there. And I'm like, no. And then you have some other guy that, I don't know what it is. Do these people just, this guy has no excuse because it wasn't moving. These were just like eggs he's claiming. But are we just using like potatoes and corn cobs to record things here? Because, man, I don't even know what I was looking at, and I don't even know how it made it onto the proof is out there. And this guy's just trying to explain how these are Nessie eggs, which to me, I can't see anything, but it just looks like leaves would in the fall. But this guy's claiming there's the eggs right there. You can see some of them hatching and such. I don't see any of that stuff, man. And I get photos all the time where people swear up and down. Like this guy the other day posted something, and it looks to me just like the back lights reflecting off his car, but he swears it was Dogman chasing his car. Man, like, what's happening here? Like, come on, people.
Yeah. See, now I think the picture you sent me is legit.
Yeah,
Because
right?
I used to raise Burmese. I used to raise reticulated pythons. And, you know, I had a 15-foot Burmese python that was 250 pounds. And I think the average alligator size is what, 8, 10 feet, maybe 11 on a big one. So if you take a 15-foot snake and an alligator, removes the melon, we'll say, if we're going with melon heads, you still got 14 feet of snake that would drag behind it. So,
Yes.
and the funny thing is, the world's biggest Burmese python, instead of being in home of Indonesia and China, was pulled out of the Everglades. It's just, I think it was close to 19 feet or 20 feet. Pregnant female with over 100 eggs.
And that's just what I mean, about adaptation, where people need to understand that. And also, animals, and things get big, okay? We just seem to, again, be so detached from reality, and we can blame it on, commercials and such. For example, things for toilet paper that show bears together just wiping their butt cheeks with toilet paper, and then for some reason this kid seems to, at the zoo, think he can just go up and touch this bear and then gets mauled. And A, his parents shouldn't have let that happen. But B, yeah, bears don't wipe their butt cheeks and smile with toilet paper. And yeah, what are we doing here, people?
No, that's like the old joke about the bear and the rabbit taking a poo in the woods, and the bear looks at the rabbit and says, "Hey, does poo just stick to your fur?" And the rabbit says, "No," so the bear wipes his butt with the rabbit. It's like,
yeah, it's just
you and the
so
bear are
bad.
not going to have a conversation about toilet paper. He's going to have a conversation whether or not you look like dinner, and he might need toilet paper after talking to you.
And that's, again, just what I mean about sometimes we just have such a disconnect, dude. And it's really not funny, but it almost is humorous, where you're just like, man, we have these type of people walking amongst us. I mean, before we let you get back to your busy schedule, like the other day, I log onto my YouTube and I happened to see these two. I don't know what they are, man. They call themselves influencers, I guess. And they were over in either Africa or somewhere where there was pretty big lions, and they decided to get out and put on a zebra suit. So, one guy's the back two legs, the other guy's the front legs, and they start running. What do you think happens when these female lions that were sitting right by see that? They start attacking.
I was going to say, please tell me they got a Darwin Award.
So they start attacking them, and they're laughing and stuff, and then there's more lions, and then it gets a little gnarly, and they get back in and stuff, and they're like laughing about it. But you're like, dude, the one lion isn't funny. The 5 lions, you guys are like beyond dumb, dude. And somehow you then are able to post this. And who are you influencing?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, a whole special on that. But on the fitness side this Friday, with people and influencing and kids, just like I really debated very hard whether or not to come public with what had happened with me doing the whole Bigfoot period in the last 5 years, because of the fact I was worried people would repeat what I had done, and I knew I was going to catch a lot of flack for it. But at the same time, it was like, I wanted to share with people what I had done, but also I wanted to try to emphasize the fact that there are consequences for everything. Action, reaction.
Yes.
And so, there was definitely a price paid for what I did. And I didn't want anybody else to have a higher price to pay, because it was definitely very possible. Some moron would do what I did and continue to do. And sometimes I kick myself after doing it. It's like, I should not be out here after dark in the woods where I could roll my ankle and I'm a mile from anywhere. Nobody is going to find me,
It's funny, but not funny, but funny. And whatever, man, you owned it. So it is what it is. I mean, got to learn somehow and gather that information. Somebody's got to do it to learn how to not do it next. I mean, it's no different than back in the day with moats around castles. I mean, how many times do you think they took sharks? All right, yeah, come from salt water, correct? And put them in the fresh water. And then all of a sudden, You wonder why when you wake back up, the sharks are belly up. How many times do you think that happened?
Yeah, exactly. That's when we need to switch to gators and go, oh, this works much better.
Right? Sire, it happened again. All right. So then that means at one point in time, somebody had to realize that their servant was an idiot. And then we had to try something else. And then, well, wait a second. We know there were sharks in boats. So, I mean, yes, exactly, dude. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to touch base on, man?
Uh, you put up you made those character cards, and I thought you did the one about Linda Godfrey just awesome. And hoping maybe we can do a special on her. I don't know a whole
Yeah,
lot
man.
about her because I'm getting new to the Dogman, and I don't know if you've already done like a tribute show,
I have
but
not.
I thought that would be a cool thing for us to, pay tribute to those who have come before us.
Yeah, let's plan on doing that Saturday coming up, man. It's great stuff, bro.
Sounds good to me. Don't be afraid to go for your dream. Somebody's got to be the best at something. Why can't it be you? Everybody puts 2 arms, 2 legs, pants go on the same way, shirt goes on the same way. Why can't it be you? And don't feed the bears peanut butter.
Right? And before we do wrap this up, just remember, hey, whatever you do, if you're going to be the bad guy, you might as well not half-ass it, right? If you're going to be the good guy, same thing, man. So, great stuff, Brian. I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, I appreciate it too. And didn't Razor Ramon say something like that?
I knew you'd
Good
pick up
times
on that.
come and bad times too, but bad guys live forever.
I knew you'd grab up on that one right there for sure, man. Ooh, you legends, you. Thank you to every single one of you. I do appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Feed the algorithm, and we'll see you very soon.